Travis Bagent is one of the greatest arm wrestlers of all time. He is known for having one of the fastest, most explosive hits we've ever seen. Now as of late, Travis has been just a little bit out of shape, meaning that he is losing to people who aren't even in his weight class and has a pretty solid dad bod going. But this has not always been the case. While Travis may not be that great at the moment, there was a time where he really was number one in the world right-handed and honestly was a pretty terrifying opponent. And don't go away, because in this video there will be footage of Travis Bagent that was removed from YouTube for a very long time and has only recently resurfaced. Footage that shows how scary Travis was when he was in his prime. At his peak, Travis was able to do things that even Denis Saplinkov, Levon Saginishvili, and Hermes Gasparini have never done. This video will cover some of the peak moments of Travis's career, as well as the moment where one could make the case that Travis reached the highest level the sport has ever seen. First, let's take a look at the beginning of Travis's career. Travis's dad was actually very good at arm wrestling, so from a young age, Travis was constantly around the sport. Not only was Travis clearly very gifted, but he also grew up in an environment that encouraged him to perfect his technique. And this led to Travis being the only arm wrestler in history to never commit a single elbow foul. Just kidding. Travis's philosophy is to fight everyone assuming that you are the weaker guy. He runs away from power and attacks weakness. He developed his explosive posting style top roll to do exactly this. Travis's top roll is designed to attack his opponent's weakness and do this as fast and as violently as possible. This way, his opponents have a really tough time ever accessing their power. This method also occasionally caused his elbow to come off the pad just slightly, but his strategy was proven to be very effective. If you did not know, Travis is left-handed and is considered by some to be the greatest left-handed arm wrestler of all time. There were multiple times throughout Travis's career where he had the official #1 rank in the world on the left arm. But unfortunately for Travis, as far as I know, he never officially held the #1 rank on the right arm. However, there was one moment in particular where I think Travis was almost certainly the #1 in the world on the right arm. There was the time in 2003 when Travis defeated Alexei Vovoda. Travis likely was the #1 right-hander in the world on that day, but John Brzezinski did not compete in this tournament. Since John was the #1 rank at the time, Travis did not claim that rank, but many people believe that Travis would have beaten anyone on that day. But this is not the moment I'm referring to. The moment I'm referring to, the moment in which Travis is the scariest version I have ever seen, is WAL 2016. In WAL 2016, Travis absolutely demolished everyone. And there are two matches that showcase how ridiculous Travis's form was more than any other match of Travis's career. And these two matches were removed from the WAL YouTube channel. The first match is Jerry Cadaret versus Travis Bagent. Unfortunately, the footage is not the best quality, but in this match, Travis committed his shoulder and ran through Jerry like nothing. In the past, Travis had always struggled with Jerry. The matches generally turned into long drawn-out wars with multiple elbow fouls, and Jerry would end up winning. But that is not at all what happened this time. This time, Travis committed his own shoulder and pressed through who was possibly the best presser in the world and made it look easy. And he did it twice in a row. But what came next is maybe even more impressive. In the finals, Travis absolutely destroyed Dave Chafee. I don't think I've ever seen Dave lose like this in his entire career. Travis flash pinned Dave in a split second and it didn't even look close. But of course, there is the chance that Dave was not ready and maybe got caught off guard. But in the rematch, we saw the exact same thing, only worse. Travis once again flash pinned Dave like nothing, but this time it looks even faster. Travis's side pressure, his back pressure, and his hand and wrist integrity were just insane. I've never seen anyone do this to Dave Chafee even to this day. For example, if we take a look at Hermes Gasparini's recent match versus Dave Chafee, we see that the match looks very different. Hermes is able to win the match, but initially Dave wins center table and holds Hermes very close to the pin pad for a long time. Dave was able to open Hermes' bicep angle, and Hermes had to climb and transition to a flop press in order to get the win. So it appears as though Hermes had a stronger hand than Dave and more back pressure, but Dave's side pressure did look superior. Even against Levon, Dave looked quite a bit better than he did against Travis. It did take Levon multiple surges to pin Dave a few times, and Levon certainly did not flash pin Dave as fast as Travis did. Granted, Levon is more of a containment puller and this was outside of straps, but you get the point. What Travis did was crazy. For more context, here's Dave Chafee versus Denis Saplenkov a couple years prior. Dave is clearly on par with Denis's strength as this match becomes an all-out war. And Denis doesn't even end up pinning Dave, but Dave loses on fouls. So clearly they are pretty balanced. But looking back at Travis versus Dave, there is just a massive gap in every area. And keep in mind, this was not normal for Travis. There was something special about 2016. In earlier years, we saw Travis have absolute wars with Dave Chafee. These matches looked a lot more like Dave Chafee versus Hermes. Dave's superior side pressure allowed him to win center table, and from here, Travis had to fight back and make adjustments. Sometimes Travis would win, and sometimes he would lose, but it was always close. And we saw the same thing with Travis against Jerry Cadaret. These matches were always grinders. Travis would hit outside and Jerry would stop him. They would have a war, but in the end, Jerry almost always won. But not in 2016. As we saw earlier, Travis just crushed Jerry in 2016. Let me know what you guys think about this. Of course, Travis was not the official #1 rank in the world in 2016, but I think he probably was #1 in reality. In 2016, Levon had not really taken over yet. He was still losing to multiple people, so Levon was clearly not #1. And in 2016, Denis Saplenkov was losing rounds to Michael Todd. Denis hadn't fully peaked yet in terms of maximal strength. I think Denis probably peaked in 2018 based off of his gym lifts. But also, Denis's technique still needed lots of refinement. The low grip that Denis used at the time would have been very bad against Travis's posting style top roll, as it would increase Travis's already ridiculous side and back pressure. Maybe there is someone I'm not thinking about who is the obvious #1 for this point in time other than Travis. But just watching what Travis did to Dave Chafee in 2016, I honestly don't think there is anyone else on the planet who could have done that. And on that particular day, I think Travis probably would have beaten Levon or Denis Saplenkov if it was a best of one. Throughout the course of Travis's career, he has had ups and downs. He has had moments where he looked very impressive, but in my mind, none of those versions of Travis compared to the Travis that showed up at WAL 2016. It really would have been interesting to see what would have happened if Travis had taken the sport a bit more seriously. If Travis had turned himself into a 400-pound monster like Levon, what would that look like? Would he be #1 in the world even in 2023? These are all very interesting questions that have been asked and will likely continue to be asked. But unfortunately, at this point, it looks like all we will ever be able to do is wonder.